Hello, everyone. I am Renata with the eSpot here with Christopher Megrath from the Liverpool Echo, who was the lead of Eurovision coverage this year for the newspaper. Hi, Christopher.
Hi, how are you?
Doing great. Happy to have you. And I have so much stuff I want to cover and get your inside scoop on what things were like on the ground in Liverpool. But first, to start, can you just say a little bit about you and how you ended up at the Liverpool Echo and what you generally do for them when you're not doing Eurovision coverage?
Well, I've been an entertainment reporter for the last decade, and the majority of that was freelance. I've worked kind of all over the UK for different publications, but it was kind of just giving my services wherever they needed. And I joined the Liverpool Echo because I wanted something a bit more rigid, and I knew where my next paycheck was coming from. And it just so happened that the year that I joined the Liverpool Echo, I joined them and I joined the Echo as an entertainment writer as well. And it just so happened that within that year, Eurovision happened and it landed in Liverpool, and I got the role as leading Liverpool's coverage because I basically demanded it. While I was watching the one show, and it was between Liverpool and Glasgow, and it was at like 7 p.m. I think, and I was sat at home with the email already wrote out, being like, "These are the reasons why I demand this role and why I think it should be great." And as soon as Graham said Liverpool, I pressed send, sent it to all my editors, and they said, "Okay, no problem. Let's chat about this on Monday." Monday came, and I got the role.
Amazing. So I think that really just shows sometimes you just have to go for what you want.
Yeah,
I
well,
mean,
I've always said
worst thing is they say no.
as a journalist, the worst they can say is no. You're no worse off. Whereas if they say yes, it completely changes the game. And that's just with interviews, with jobs, and just like anything in life, really. If you don't ask, you don't get. And I
Yep,
got.
absolutely. And you really got the Top Gear assignment.
I got more than I bargained for with this. I thought it was gonna be like a little like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna like report on it. It's gonna be fun. It was like absolutely not. And I was a fan of Eurovision, so I knew what it entailed. But to physically do so much of it from a host city perspective was a lot.
Well, and your coverage was really extensive, first of all, but also very appreciated. Like for me specifically, as someone who was traveling for the first time for Eurovision, I'd traveled plenty before, but this was my first Eurovision. I didn't know anything about Liverpool. I was extremely daunted by the plans, what to do, what things were like, accessibility issues, also just general excitement, wanting to know as much as I could before going. So your coverage really helped me like chill out actually, because you provided me with like everything, like more information than I could even really use in the time that I had. um, so I was wondering though, as you were doing all that coverage, all the places to go and things to do, did you feel like you were learning more about your own city through that process, or was it very much like okay, oh okay, I know what I want to do for these things. I know all the spots, or was it more of a discovery journey for you as well?
It was more kind of like humanizing the city in a little bit. I've been here for 6 years, but working so closely with the council for so many different aspects, as you know, with the entire Euro Festival and everything with the Ukrainian partnerships, it was, I could have said, okay, well, these are the best bars to go to afterwards. These are the best places to eat out. But I discovered more about the city in the sense of the heart of it, like the people that like run through everything, like working so close with the council members, working so close with different communities from the Baltic Triangle, where the Euro Club is, to the Pierhead, where the Euro Village was, and then obviously everyone in the arena. So I knew, I knew the city very well, but it was putting a face to so much that I never knew, if that makes sense.
No, that definitely makes sense. Especially being like an entertainment reporter, why would you really have to talk to the council much?
Yeah, exactly. Like I kind of, whenever you're an entertainment reporter, it's very like you don't really get to know a person. It is kind of these five questions that you ask the celebrity and disappear to. Or if I'm going to the arena, it's for a review. So my like black book of contacts like exploded this year, and I just know so many more people, and it was great to kind of just be like out and about. Whereas if you're an entertainment reporter, it's on Zoom or it's in a press room. Whereas I was everywhere.
Right. So something I learned from like the taxis that I rode in and having chats with the drivers was that Liverpool is like a very like activity driven city, because we would say like, oh, are you making a lot of money, was work real crazy for you this weekend? And they're like, yeah, it's a pretty good weekend, but I mean, we always get a lot of events and stuff um and like when I arrived there, it was Friday before the semifinals. So I think that was kind of the cusp where a lot of people started getting there. The city filled up and it got really intense. Like I felt like when I hit the ground, it went from like 0 to 60 right away and it really ramped up. So, what was it like for you as a resident to see the city kind of transform? And was it something that was, I mean, I'd imagine it would be much bigger than all the other events, but what was your impression of that? And what was the attitude like on the ground with like other locals, like your friends who maybe didn't care about Eurovision, but were kind of sucked up in the whirlwind?
I remember whenever it was first announced for Liverpool, so like way back in October time. It's one of those things where no matter who's excited about it, you're always going to have those people. Oh, why is this coming here? Who's paying for this? So stupid. Get rid of it. You know, all those stupid accounts. And whenever you have that from a local perspective as well, you know, you're trying to deliver this big event to the community, the response is very like, what's the point in this? So at the beginning, those who cared about Eurovision and those who cared about the events in Liverpool were excited, but it was like an uphill battle for so many months. And it was just kind of like, oh, it's coming here, but no one really cares about it in a sense. The next big shift was whenever tickets were announced. Whenever tickets were announced, the city kind of exploded. And I think that they thought, oh shit, this is actually coming here kind of thing. And then following that on, there was the Euro Festival announcements and the Euro Club announcements, and people were booking the hotels. And it was whenever things started to be put into place and things were being announced by the council as well, especially for the Euro Festival, you know, that we had the yellow and blue submarine through the streets. This is going to take over the city. Even if you don't care about it, you will physically see these installments. You know, you couldn't have missed Eurovision, even if you wanted to in the city. So it was after like February time it started to pick up traction and it got very exciting. And that's when the city started to get a bit more of a buzz. When it came to April and May, though, it was chaos. Everyone was so obsessed, but it's one of those things where everyone's left it too late to jump on ship. I know as a reporter as well, I was speaking to venues and be like, what are your Eurovision plans in December, in January? And they're like, well, just like closer to the time. Everyone came to me at the start of May, be like, okay, well, we have this planned. It was like, it's far too late to get any advertisement for me at this stage. I'm far too busy. But whenever they saw people coming here, you know, this is actually happening, everyone got really excited about it. But the thing with Liverpool is, and which is why I still insist that the city got it over Manchester or Glasgow. It's a very close knit community, and if something comes here, everyone backs it, everyone fully supports it, whether it is sport or entertainment. There is that kind of like family close knit. We will go completely all in for this. So whenever April and May came, that's whenever, you know, Eurovision's here. Let's go out. Let's have fun. Let's have street parties. Let's completely blow all the money on this and let, you know, completely make it memorable. And I know that's what the council said. If we're going to do this, we're going to go completely all in. And whenever it was the fortnight of Eurovision, I mean, we were both in the city and you could just feel the energy, even if you didn't want to go out. There was different clubs, you know, completely like straight heteronormative clubs that I was going to, and they were playing cha cha cha. I was like, you just can't escape it. So it was a slow, gradual build, but at the big key milestones of the Eurovision season is whenever you could feel like an explosion of excitement.
Yeah, I definitely felt that the locals wanted us there. And I don't have anything to compare it to, but I heard other people saying, like, oh, no other host city has ever gone all in the way that Liverpool had. And I was just remarkably impressed because also I was meeting locals, like the big opening party jam that like 25,000 people, and most of them were locals and meeting people and talking to people, and even people who said that they didn't know about Eurovision, but they were so excited and excited to meet foreigners, and like everything felt really safe. So I've definitely felt that vibe and that buzz with generally everybody.
Well, I'm obviously not from Liverpool. I'm from Northern Ireland, but I moved here, and it's so I don't have any like deep historical ties to it. I just genuinely love the city, and it's always classed as one of the friendliest, most welcoming in the world from like international polls and stuff. And I know whenever you're here, you can just feel like a different energy. It's just like a carefree, do whatever you want, just have fun kind of city. And that's what I've always loved about it, and that's why I've always stayed here.
I definitely feel like Liverpool is England's best kept secret. because I've been other places in England. I've been to London, I've been to Bristol, and like they're both fine places, but I was like, damn, like why did nobody ever tell me about Liverpool before? Because like
Mm.
I'm poised to go back without the Eurovision stuff because there was so much going on. I couldn't do a lot of like, really typical local stuff because it was just too much.
Yeah,
The FOMO was really intense.
there's so much even just around the city, both musically and historically, just to see. And if you were here for Eurovision and wanted to see Liverpool, you'd be very strange to do so. But there's stuff that I haven't even seen here, like the huge Radio City Tower. I've still not even been up yet, and I've been here for 6 years, and I keep saying, "Oh, I'll go someday," but still haven't been.
You have to be a tourist in your own city.
Yeah,
So you were already a Euro fan, but was this your first time actually being at a Eurovision, or did you go to previous years?
I've been kind of like an online Euro fan for like decades at this stage, so I have. But I always said, "Oh my god, I would love to go," but I just never really went because I'm like the only person in my friend group who actually likes it. So as far as like my relationship with the contest before this year, it was watching it at home and like live tweeting and being on social media and being in that like realm and stuff. But like so that's what it was. It was just like loving the contest and tweeting about it compared to everything that happened this year. So I've never ever been. So this was my first year being like entrenched in it all.
It was my first year as well, but like I've also been a fan for a long time since 2004 was my first Eurovision. So like 18 years, I realized that like I'd been a Euro fan longer than Victor Vanegos had been alive, and I never felt older in my life than the moment I realized that. Um, so
Why did
I
you? Why was Liverpool your first contest? Then what made you want to come here for your first time?
so it was just the first time that it was kind of like feasible. I had been a foreign exchange student in Poland. My family's Polish. That's how I saw it in the first place. So I would always tend to be in Europe in May and I'd watch it on TV. So I was like genuinely like a local viewer, just like watching it on the hotel room TV. And then the, life happens. I was in school and stuff and just never, it was just never possible. Also, it's so expensive and
Yeah,
but then I started getting really extra into it, especially when it came back in 2021. After missing it in 2020, that's when I started doing the e-spot because I just really like I wanted to have an excuse to be as obsessed with it as I was. Like I
yeah.
wanted to have an output for my obsession. And so I really wanted to go to Turin last year, but it just wasn't possible for a variety of reasons. So when the UK was announced, I was like, okay, do you know what? I've been to the UK. It's very accessible. It's closer to me than really any other place in Europe. Like, this is probably like I should do it. And I just made the plan when UK was announced, and then I followed through with the plan and like did the dream. Initially, I wanted to have press accreditation. Like, I really wanted to like go all in and be doing media stuff. Um, and then I didn't apply because I didn't apply because I actually had a surgery on my stomach within that 3-day period of application. So I was like very like preoccupied with extremely important stuff. But
Yeah.
also I didn't think that I would get accredited because the previous year accreditation had been really hard to get. And I was new. I had like less than 500 subscribers on YouTube. I'm like, they're not going to give it to me. I really need to take
I
care
mean,
of
it's never
myself.
stopped them before. It's never stopped accreditation giving it to some people before.
So I didn't end up applying, and then I find out later that people applied as a joke and got it. I'm like, oh damn, like that was a missed opportunity. But after everything happened and I went, I was actually kind of glad that I didn't have accreditation because I would have felt very obligated to be at the press center and doing the rehearsals and trying to get interviews and recording things so that I could get it up right away. And it was my first time, so I was happy to just like be a fan and just like, ride the wave and what happens happens. And so like not that I would have been upset if I had worked, but I was happy to just be a fan. So I guess what I'm curious to know from you is that um how did that feel for you wanting to enjoy but also having to work? Like did you feel a lot of pressure or was it just part of the experience for you?
not speaking so much in terms of, how much work I had to do, but it was very easy in a sense. Like it was like the easiest, it's the most work I've ever done, but it's the easiest. So I love doing it. So if someone said, can you do a review on this, a write up on this, and a profile and X, Y, and Z, I'd be like, no problem. But if someone said that on, a different general entertainment topic, I would have been a bit like, okay, let's like work, if you know what I mean. So I loved doing all of it, but it was a lot of it. But with this year and working from a host city, there may be chances in the future where I still work in the Eurovision realm. So like things are like buzzing around and stuff, but I'll never get to do it leading the coverage of the host city, but the BBC holding it, and it's one of the biggest, most historic. Do you know what I mean? I kind of thought to myself, just push yourself through it because you're never going to do it again, and then you'll look back on it and be like, I did that. And that's kind of what I thought. I can go to Sweden next year and enjoy it as a fan, or I can enjoy, working in some other form. But I feel like this is just like it. Too many things fell into place so luckily as well. So I just kind of enjoy it and have fun, even though you're completely stressed, you haven't slept, you're tired, you haven't ate. It's one of those ones. That's kind of my perspective of it. Just deal with it and then look back on it and be like proud of yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you definitely were kind of at the top of the media hierarchy, being a local reporter with like I don't want to say accredited because that's not the right word, but like a regular media company, not fan media, an actual newspaper in the host city. You're kind of almost, at least I would imagine, guaranteed a little bit of access. Like you're a very important person to talk to for many reasons when you're in that lead role. But it seems like there's this hierarchy. So obviously you've got the like regular media at the top, and then you have like the legacy fan media, the people who have been around for a really long time are really established. Obviously, like Wee Blogs had the whole Lush lounge thing,
Yeah.
which was so cool. I really loved that a lot. And then you have like the lower tier, which is like fan media and like content creators, let's say.
Yeah.
Like I'm kind of, I think, straddling, I'm kind of going from content creator to fan media now as I try to get a little bit more established. So we did kind of see this hierarchy play out a little bit at the turquoise carpet, which ironically, you and I were like right across from each other.
Directly opposite each other as well. Like, of course we are.
I thought that was so funny. And it was like we were too far away to talk. I wonder if I was in the back of any of your videos because I kept seeing you guys were recording things.
Well, we did like a 4.5 hour live stream of like the entire thing. So yeah, you probably will be. But then there were
Oh,
so many people in between it and stuff. So
is that up
yeah,
online anywhere?
yeah, it's on our Facebook page. But there was an issue with the verticality of our camera, so it's filmed in portrait, not horizontal. So there may be cutoffs and stuff, which is a bit of a nightmare as well.
Oh,
But
I'll
yeah,
have
it's
to
on
go
our
and
Facebook page.
check that out. So when we saw that, like obviously you were like a regular media, and then there were fan media on that other side. I was in like the fan zone, but within the fan zone, I was with multiple people who actually had press accreditation, and they were unable to get uh, press rights to go over onto your side, which was actually quite sparsely, um, kind of sparsely populated with journalists. Um, and I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about that specific event and how it kind of played out for you as you were reporting, because it was very chaotic, even on the fan side. Like sometimes people would come up and talk to you, sometimes they would run right past you. Like, what was that like for you at that particular event?
I'm I know you said like I was kind of like the VIP of like this year's Eurovision stuff, like the go-to for all the information. But sorry, the setup's terrible. But for like even to get accreditation and to get there was we still had to like strong arm our way into a lot of situations and think, we are the host city and we're doing this and we're doing that. And they're like, okay, but we can only give you one pass. And it's like, it's not gonna cut it. So for the turquoise carpet specifically, only I was accredited. For the entire host city, only I was accredited. There was like one radio member, there was, someone from the guide and whatever else, but they were like, okay, well, it's, limited spaces, so we can only give it to you. I was like, I don't think you understand. We've been doing this for months on end, like morning, noon, and night, delivering content. International media, whether it is Germany, France, England, Spain, they only care about their acts. Fan media, with all due respect, is fan media. We have delivered this in a way that no one else has, and no one else probably will for the entire rest of the season. We're interviewing all 37 acts. We're doing this from an SEO, local entertainment, and just, international perspective. So what do you mean you can only have one? So we were having discussions and debates for quite a few events to say it's not on. Well, we only have a space to give so and so one. We can only give them one. Don't care. We need this because we're doing this and no one else is doing this. And they were like, okay.
That is shocking, actually.
Yeah, that was the case for a few events where I just had to be like, because we can go in there and we can, because someone can go there with a video recorder. There was a friend of mine, a colleague from the Daily Star, who just went in with a tape recorder and was like, blah, blah, blah. We're like, well, that's fine, and that can work for them. We're doing a live stream interviewing all 37 of the acts. They're only coming here to interview Carrie and Lorraine and the big headers. We need to be a little bit more realistic. We are the host city. Turin may not have done this. We're not Turin. So it was some things we had to kind of like, I completely understand that they do have restrictions and limitations, capacity issues, and there are a lot of things in place, but it was just a matter of, it was just a matter of like, be realistic. We need this. Just sort of like, don't care what happens, but I need to be here covering this content in the way that I want to, which is obviously the way people have seen that hopefully is, being good. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been as much content to this standard and quality that I would have wanted, and I wouldn't have been happy about it. So yeah, there were some things that were difficult, but it all worked out in the end. But we did have to be like, as per my last email, I would like more access, please.
Wow, that's interesting. I really thought that it was just those restrictions were relegated to fan media.
No, it was like, and I know that was the case for like international media as well. Some international media weren't allowed different places. We weren't allowed different places. Even just in the arena, it's like, okay, but you're not allowed in here. It's like, respectfully, as the host city, not even just, it's like, say, obviously, touch wood, a bomb went off in the arena. You can't deny the biggest publication in the arena access to that just because this event is on. We still need access to this. And they were like, blah, 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 blah. It was like, no, like, we get that you're coming in and having this event, but it's not going to change our fundamental coverage of what we need to do realistically. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So say someone was shot on stage, all our journalists would have been denied access in there just because of the event rules. I was like, that can't be the case. We can't wait until like a press release from the police. And this is getting like really nitpicky, some of this, but like these are the kind of conversations we have to say to people. Like, we need full access to everything. Otherwise,
I mean, yeah, I could see also like I was personally expecting Don't Stop Oil to do something. Like obviously local reporters would want to be on the ground for that. So I guess after everything actually happened, like I left Sunday morning. I didn't even sleep after the final. I just stayed up, packed my bags, went to the airport in the morning and left. And I think a lot of people did that. So what was it like when like the pressure valve went off and everybody leaves town and all you've got are like the leftover signs of what had just happened? What was that vibe like?
there's still stuff up around the city. All the banners are still up. I was like, I still really want one. But on the night of the grand final, I was like so drunk because I was watching it, from the Eurovillage, and I must have spent about £100 on bottles of wine in there. And I was just getting emotional, and it was like, I was very tired and just wore out from just working so hard on this and not sleeping. And then whenever it was like the final countdown and like it was Lorraine and Carrie, I was just like, blah. And then Lorraine won, I just started like crying. I was just like, it's over. Like, so drunk, so tired, and just like proud of myself as well. I was just like, I'm so happy it's done. Then woke up the next day with an absolutely banging hangover. Went into work on Monday, and it was like, these are how many days off you owe me from like working so much. And then I had like eight working days time off. So I only started back to work last Wednesday actually. So I did, from Eurovision. So it was just like I needed like a rest. I couldn't have even like, oh my god, let's do like a recap of everything. It was just like, no, I need to be like horizontal for the next 2 weeks. No one speak to me. And it's just like, I know it's just fun and exciting. I was like very proud of myself, very proud of the city. But for like those three or four immediate days, don't speak to me. I just need to recharge.
And I think the artists went through that too. Like Katia just got back from his vacation in Maldives.
Maldives.
You need to decompress after such an intense, especially a long, intense period. It's not just like 3 days of being crazy. It's, weeks, months.
Yeah, it was a lot. I think that's whenever I was interviewing the artists, I always said to them, from a local's perspective, are you staying around in Liverpool for any time after the contest? And everyone was like, nope, going straight home on a Sunday, maybe Monday at the latest. And I was like, not seeing the city. It's like, no, I just want to relax. And I was like, you know what? Fair enough. I get that.
Yeah. So, speaking of locals, now that everything has happened, obviously they really felt the buzz when it was happening. Is the general attitude that like people are glad that it happened? Like, was there economic benefit, social benefit, like morale benefit?
Yeah, well, speaking economically, to put all this on, Liverpool only put 2 million into this, and we're expected to get something like 40 million back. Yeah, and that is down to just the council working, like, because it's just smart money and stuff, the way they manage to do everything around. And then obviously these are like over the course of how many years as well, but like that's how much. So we're gonna be getting something like 2,000% back or something. I don't do maths, so I don't know if that's wrong. But yeah, I think everyone's, and it's also partly due to the BBC because the BBC obviously backed this as well. There's only so much that the Liverpool Council can do, but with all the programming going on, just the standard of it as well, and the fact that it was in the host Liverpool, I think everyone has a new perspective of Eurovision, and you're like, oh, it's not just this big weird event that comes into a city and then pisses off kind of thing. It's like a big, huge spectacle, which is great because it's not always like this, as you're well aware. So it's great that the UK has been able to see this. And yeah, I think everyone was just like excited and happy, and it's just like kicked summer off in like a great way, if you know what I mean. And we're all
Yeah.
just kind of like looking to, okay, well, what do we do now? The biggest thing that I'm noticing is Pride is just around the corner. Pride is at the end of July, and everyone's like, oh, I hope we get this Eurovision performer. I hope we get this Eurovision performer, which was never a conversation this city's ever had, if you know what I mean. So everyone's hoping for, it's added like a new, you know, spice to the city and like a way that we've never seen, which is really nice.
Oh, that's amazing. I hope you get some Eurovision people for Pride. That would be epic. I'm
Hopefully,
sure they'd
well,
be happy to go back anyway.
yeah, 100%. It's like this, if the council are thinking strategically and wise, they could pull a few people and just like, just come back.
So, do you have any, like, is there any standout memory for you, or is there something that like is always going to remind you of Eurovision in Liverpool?
Um, Professionally, walking into the arena for the first time on like several separate times whenever they're first starting up and whenever I was able to do my first review, going into the Euro Village, it's probably the biggest memory will be my first look around the Euro Village because it was like everything's up. This was before we were allowed in the arena and stuff. I was like, this is up, and I remember walking around consciously thinking to myself about everyone that put this on. Sarah Latcham and Harry Doyle and Claire McColgan. It was like, how have they done this? Like, how have they managed to do this? And it was the same day as the Yellow Submarine. It was more like knowing everyone behind this and how much work that they've put into it, and just kind of like taking a step back and thinking, oh wow, like it all came together. And like that's the best thing about it. It all did come together. Nothing went to shit, nothing fell through. And the fact that like everyone loved this year so much, everyone saying like this is one of their favorite years. I think of just like the feeling of looking back on it, if you know what I mean. And like the initial start to the Euro Village lineup is probably like the biggest takeaways from it. So basically from the start and then the very end, and then just looking in on it everywhere.
All right. And one last question before we finish up. Any plans to go to Sweden next year?
Yes, I do. I do. We wanted to go. Me and a friend were said this was way before Lorraine won. She's like, should we go to Melfest next year? I was like, yeah, fuck it, let's go to Melfest next year because we've never been, and obviously we're both like massive Eurovision fans as well. And then Lorraine won, and we're like, well, there's no point going to Melfest. We'll just go to Eurovision because we said because in our heads it was we'll go to Melfest and then we'll go to Finland for Eurovision, but it obviously didn't work out. So yeah, I plan to be in Sweden next year. So if anyone would like to go for a drink or have fun, I hope to be there. And even if we don't get tickets, like I'll still be there 100%. So I'm very excited. So hopefully this is like the annual start to me going every year.
Awesome. I love that for you.
I
Well,
love it for me as well.
well, I hope that maybe I'll run into you again in Sweden. And thank you so much for talking with me today and giving me your perspective on your Eurovision experience.
No problem. It was a joy both meeting you and speaking. So anytime.
Thank you.